When Jacob is old and not well, his son Joseph travels with his two sons, Menashe and Ephraim, to receive a final blessing from his dear father. He arranges his boys in the following manner. Menashe, his older son, was on his left side, and Ephraim, his younger son, was on his right side. This way, when they approached Jacob for a blessing, the older one would be on Jacob's right side, and the younger one would be on Jacob's left side. But as the Torah describes in this week's Parsha Vayechi, Jacob had other ideas. He crosses his hands and places his right hand on the younger grandson, Ephraim's head, and his left hand on the head of his older grandson, Menashe. Joseph rushes back to tell his father that he's got it wrong, but his father says, "My dear son, I'm well aware of what I'm doing. The older one will be great, but the younger one will surpass the older one, and it's for that reason that he's going to need the additional blessing of my right hand." And that's the end of the conversation. He then proceeds to bless his grandsons by not only giving them a personal blessing, but by also making them the symbol of blessing for all future generations. Genesis chapter 48, verse 20. Vayevorachem bayemahu lemor b'chol yevorach Yisrael lemor Yisimcha elikim ke'Ephraim v'chi Menashe. So he blessed them on that day, saying, "With you Israel will bless," saying, "May God make you like Ephraim and like Menashe." And so it has become the tradition for thousands of years, generation after generation, until this present day, Jewish parents bless their children to be like Ephraim and Menashe. While this story certainly captures one's attention, the question arises, what was so special about these two brothers, Menashe and Ephraim, that they deserve to become the paradigm of blessing for all future generations? But the truth is that with a review of the Torah's history, the greatness of these two brothers will become clear. The first siblings we are introduced to in the Torah is Cain and Hevel. The Torah describes in detail how they both brought a sacrifice for God. Hevel was generous and Cain was stingy. God accepts Hevel's offering but rejects Cain's. How does Cain, the older brother, react? Out of jealousy, he kills his younger brother Hevel. Not exactly role models for anyone. The next siblings we read about is Yishmael and Yitzchak. Yishmael is 14 years older, and by the time Yitzchak is a young boy, he is already well into his teens and negatively influencing his younger brother. Things go from bad to worse. Sarah, Yitzchak's mother, cannot take it any longer. She sees Yishmael bringing the most ungodly, unethical behaviors into the house, and she tells Avram to send him out. Reluctantly, Avram has to send him away from home to protect his younger son Yitzchak. Certainly not the kind of siblings one desires. Next, you have Yaakov and Esav. Once again here, you have the younger one surpassing the older one. It reaches a boiling point when Jacob gets the blessings that Esav thought belonged to him. And then it gets ugly. Knowing that his brother wants him dead, Yaakov must flee to Haran to save his life. He remains there for over 20 years until they finally make peace. Once again, not exactly a model for siblings getting along. Next, you have Joseph and his brothers. Here again, we have a similar story, where Joseph, the youngest brother at that time, is given special attention by the father. His older siblings seem to be jealous of this. Joseph does a little instigation, and when the opportunity arises, they throw him into a pit with the intentions of killing him. They end up changing their mind and sell him as a slave instead. Certainly not the way parents want their children to get along. But then we come to Menashe and Ephraim, and we read how Jacob, in his divine spirit and wisdom, sees that the younger brother, Ephraim, deserves and indeed needs the greater blessings, and therefore he crosses his hands to do so. How does Menashe react? How will the older brother respond? Will he protest? Will he yell? Will he get physical? Will he curse? What will he do? And here, unlike all previous such cases in history, the older brother Menashe accepts it with love. He recognizes who he is and his special qualities, and at the same time feels that his younger brother also has special qualities, and one isn't a contradiction to the other. When Jacob sees this response from Menashe, he says, "With you Israel will bless," saying, "May God make you like Ephraim and like Menashe." This is why we, at this present day, continue to bless our children. Our hope and our prayer is that they should get along. They should be such special siblings like Menashe and Ephraim, where jealousy didn't exist and only deep love bound them together. As we review this idea, we should pause and reflect on how we get along with our siblings. We must reflect and ask ourselves, are we ever jealous of others? And we should work on diminishing that by recognizing how we all have something to offer, and someone else's greatness doesn't make me worth any less. And with this, we can conclude the book of Bereshis and take the strength to propel us further in our ongoing relationship with Hashem and mankind. I wish you a good Shabbos. Chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek.